Hey everybody, welcome to another Midnight Review presented here by Glasshouse Films, and Nick and I are gonna go watch Atomic Blonde! Yeah, easily one of my most anticipated movies of the year. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of just like came out of nowhere. Like I just saw the trailer and I was like, I'm getting behind it.
Yeah, so like, part of what makes this so highly anticipated, apart from the cast, which, I mean, Charlize Theron, awesome, but then you got James McAvoy backing her up, you got Pennywise the Clown, what's his name, Bill Skarsgård? Yeah, Toby Jones, Sofia Boutella, oh, what's his name, John Goodman, like,
there's a John Goodman in
like
there.
A stacked cast. But one of the other big things is the two guys who directed the first John Wick movie, they both split off. One did John Wick 2. This is the movie the other guy did. And if this is like as good as at least John Wick 1,
For sure.
I'm gonna be super excited.
Oh yeah.
And like part of that, I mean, action, yeah, great. I want a good action film, but what I've come to expect from these guys is also good world building. You know, you gotta craft a really cool setting. And I mean, you can do a lot with, was this 1960s Berlin?
I think it's 80s.
Oh, okay, yeah, 80s.
I think it's like late Cold War.
Yeah, near the tail end of the Cold War. Berlin, I'm like, you could do a ton with that. I demand that they do a ton with it. Yeah, I'm just ready for Charlize Theron to kick a bunch of ass, have a really cool story with it. I mean, and it doesn't even have to be a groundbreaking story. Neither of the John Wick movies are groundbreaking stories, but they're just told so well.
Yeah, it's just like it's almost like a guilty pleasure movie, but then like it turns out to be good.
Yeah,
like you can actually talk about it with people.
Yeah, it's like you've seen John Wick a million times, the hitman who's brought in for one last job, basically.
One last job.
Except John Wick just did it so much better than just about all the other ones.
Yeah, enough that they could be like, you know what? Second to last job.
Yeah.
Turns out it was actually his third to last job.
It's just resume building. Yeah, it's just resume building is all it is. But yeah, I mean, one of my most highly anticipated movies. I know it's really huge on your list. Let's go see Atomic Blonde.
I chose this life, and someday it's going to get me killed. But not today.
So what'd you think of Atomic Blonde?
I think it gets fight scene of the year. I don't think any superhero movies are gonna top.
No, definitely not.
Okay,
Superhero movies don't typically do great fight scenes.
I don't think anything in John Wick 2 come out this year?
Yes.
I don't think John Wick 2 topped anything. Any single fight scene.
Really?
Really?
I mean, I gave it A for effort and endurance for that one scene, but
dude, it was like one 8-minute shot where they kind of snuck in like some.
Yeah, they snuck in a handful of cuts.
Some cuts, but presented as ones.
Yeah, A for effort, very well done. It's one 10-minute scene of like 2 hours of me being super bored.
Yeah.
I wanted to turn to you multiple times in the film and go, wake me up when stuff happens.
Wake me up!
Wake me up inside! We can't do that for this review. Anyway.
It was very, like the pacing was weird, but that one fight scene was like really, really good.
Not worth the price of admission, but very good.
Like,
yes.
Gold and a pile like some kind of bronze, maybe like some silver.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely put in the effort, because I'd seen like all of these like behind the scenes featurettes, and it's like, Charlize Theron has really worked her ass off for this movie. And I'm like, okay. You get to that scene, you're like, oh, there's the work. Oh. There it is.
She makes smoking cool again.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
I feel like we gotta back up a bit.
Yes. So,
where did it start to go wrong for you? I'll tell you where it went wrong with me. Tell me where it started to go wrong.
Almost immediately. The way they decided to tell the story is one of my most hated tropes.
The good old, like, put up in 1989, the Berlin Wall fell. This is not that story.
Okay, I had a problem with that, but I was like, okay, we'll get past this. And then it didn't get better. The problem that I had is this film is all not a flashback, but telling someone the story of the film. She's sitting down, basically doing a debriefing. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, oh, okay, all right,
That's like a personal taste thing, but yeah.
Yeah, and then it was like 20, 30 minutes into the film that I was sitting there, I'm like, all right, come on, stuff's got to start happening, right? She's in Berlin, let's go. And it's like 20 minutes after she's been in Berlin, I'm just like,
and it's like,
where's the fighting?
Yeah, it's like still a fucking meet and greet.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, come on, let's get going already.
So my big thing with the movie, it's like, okay, spy movie, very much presented, it's like spy kind of action movie. Not a ton of action, but the big thing that got me, and I've had this problem I've always had this problem, but I've started to notice it a lot more since I saw Suicide Squad specifically. Okay. I can't stand, there were so many good songs in that movie, but I can't stand when they try to do some cool shot and you're like, fuck yeah, cool music playing, and then they just cut it off. They play like 10 seconds of a song.
Oh my god.
Even like every little intro to every character in Suicide Squad was like the first hour of that movie where it's like something like they were playing that really, god, what was it? She's like getting a fucking passport and they're playing like all this badass music and it's like she's walking into a building.
Yeah.
And then it's like stamp and then she just leaves and the music just stops and you're like, what happened? There's like this cool top down like tracking shot of her like walking through turnstiles or something and you're like, and nothing happened.
So
it was like one big build up to like one cool fight scene that like spoiler-ish, not really a spoiler, isn't even like the climax of the movie.
Yeah.
But it's like it's like
the action climax.
It's like it's like the old boy hammer scene of that movie where it's like that's the coolest scene in the movie, not the climax.
Yeah, but the difference being in Old Boy, it still has a lot of like it still has a lot of story to back it up. The
story was.
So why don't you explain what the story is? Because it's actually a pretty basic story, but it's a convoluted plot.
It takes place the day or maybe at
like
most
the week
like
leading up.
Well, okay, so the story starts out with an MI6 agent getting killed, and then it cuts to 10 days later. But I think the meat of the story happens about 2 to 3 days before the fall of the Berlin Wall. Because she's not actually in Berlin for that long. And they make a point to be... It's actually really funny because they make a point in the movie at one point telling her, you need to hurry the fuck up. And you need to get this story figured out. Yeah. And then they just don't. It like became self-aware at a point. But anyways... the kind of revolves around, I mean, this is all made very clear very early on, trying to get it's the classic, like, they got a list of every agent we're made if this gets out. Yeah. And, it's like the, kind of like the end of obviously like the end of the Cold War. Yeah. And they don't want to prolong it for another, what they say, like another, if this list gets out, it'll prolong it for another 40 years. And it's a list of agents and like double agents and everything. It's like pretty much every secret involving every agent. They make a point to bring that up really early on.
Which and it's I'm always like curious about, like, how did they compile that list?
I don't know.
Anyway.
Like, when you join, they're like, fill out this application and don't lie.
Like that isn't a legitimate problem I have with it. It's just kind of funny it's just like to bring it up. Thing. Anyway.
But it's like a deliver the package, deliver the payload, Yeah. Like, and there's a lot of subterfuge and like, it's a spy movie, so it's like, okay, yeah, it revolves around like, agents and double agents, maybe it has triple agents, maybe it has quadruple agents. Yeah. And one of the things we talked about right afterwards is like just exactly who is like you kind of get the feeling that like this story would happen with any characters, and that like everybody is like nobody really matters.
Yeah,
and, like this story would get pushed along by anybody, and we're just it's not even like, I don't even think they really make a point to say that like, you know, she's an exceptional agent or anything. They just kind of start out and they're like, well, you've done kind of good and you speak Russian, here you go. And you kind of get the feeling that like,
she ain't no John Wick.
Yeah, and like it's not the kind of plot where it's like they're the reason the Berlin, they make it very clear like they're not the reason the Berlin Wall's going down. They're just trying to make sure that like after it goes down,
it kind of stays down.
That it like stays down.
Yeah.
And the problem with the movie is like you don't feel like any of the characters are super exceptional. Like, okay, yeah, Charlize Theron's a fucking badass.
Yes.
In like the few fight scenes there are, you're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. She definitely put in the work.
But you kind of get the feeling, and I think it's intentional. Like, you don't get the feeling as in, like, just you as a viewer, like, outside of the film, but you kind of get a feeling, like, when you're in the world, that, like, everybody is kind of expendable, and, like, when they're doing the whole kind of debrief, like, when they're doing the whole flashback thing, and they're doing their, you know, the briefing after the mission kind of thing, that, like, all of this sort of would have happened anyways, and we're just kind of seeing it through her eyes, and, like, I feel like it kind of was, like, a discredit to the film.
See that's
like, just like a bad choice in like storytelling.
So we were actually discussing one particular character, and I said that I would give my rebuttal in the car, and here it is. I just don't care.
Yeah.
The movie never made me care about, I didn't even really care about Charlize Theron. I'm like, yeah, she's cool and I want to see her do more cool stuff, but I know she's gonna live because we're seeing the debriefing, and I just don't care.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, and that's the thing is, it's like, I felt like I couldn't piece everything together, or I really don't think you can piece everything together until like the very end of the movie. Yeah, and it's like, you know, it's pretty much like linear storytelling. I mean, it's not like when she's telling the story. You know, she's going from like, you know, it goes from like A to 1, B to 2, C to 3, like in terms of their briefing and then the actual storyline of the movie. So it's not like this weird, like out of order kind of storytelling. So like you really can't know what's going on.
But it was so sloppily delivered and edited that I just figured it out. Like the big problem with the film is that they tried so hard to be smarter than the audience. And it's like, you didn't need to be. No, literally nobody was asking for that. What we wanted was cool action, a cool spy setting, and a well enough delivered story. I will
say, this actual setting in terms of like, you know, East and West Berlin in like late 80s was like totally, I mean, I wasn't born in the 80s, but it seemed totally like on point. Like, like it felt like at no point was I like, oh, this just seems like some sort of caricature of like Berlin.
Yeah,
like,
no, it definitely felt like
the setting was really cool. I felt like,
well, here's my problem with the setting is that it's okay. Man, I'm gonna keep going back to John Wick because these are things John Wick did so well, and I feel like the other guy had these ideas.
Yeah, it's so easy to compare it to John Wick because it's like well, totally presented as like Soviet era. Berlin John Wick.
Yeah, John Wick went above and beyond in a very simple way. The Continental. They explain just enough of the rules of the Continental. And you're like, oh, that's really cool. Ooh. And then obviously you don't need the second movie, but the second movie goes further into that, and that's really cool. This film didn't have that. Like, when I saw the punks, like the Berlin punks, I'm like, oh, these actually look like really good punks.
Yeah.
Is there gonna be like a Berlin punk like spy agent? That would have taken the movie to the next level, and there just wasn't.
And well, now that you mention it, like
they almost build it up for that.
There almost was a Berlin punk.
Almost.
Like it was so close because like at one point in the movie you see like how the spies that live in Berlin are operating in Berlin.
Yeah.
When you meet like the other agents there.
Yes.
And you see that like they got like mohawks and shit, and you're like, I think they kind of do have like a Berlin punk spy ring, but it's literally 3 fucking shots.
Yeah, it's not enough. It's not part of the story.
Can you expand upon that? Because like it was like almost part of the story.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like there was a lot of stuff that they just kind of...
They left on the table a lot of stuff.
And, like, the KGB are, like...
We are typical KGB villains.
They're the most typical, like, hey, look, we're expendable, but we got one kind of John Hamm looking guy.
So for him, he did a fine job. I think his part would have been way better if it had been played by Rufus Sewell.
Yeah.
Or, and this is going to be a pretty obvious Mads Mikkelsen.
Or John Hamm.
Or John Hamm.
I mean, dude, the guy looks so much like John Hamm.
He did. For a moment, I was like, wait.
He looked so much like... Yeah, he looked so much like John Hamm that when I first saw him, I was like, huh? John Hamm is in this movie? And John Hamm
he just walked off the set of Baby Driver onto the set of Atomic Blonde.
John Hamm was just playing some, like, no dialogue, big fucking muscle man Russian.
Yeah. But, so yeah, the story was just blah. I didn't care. The pacing with the story was bad. I felt like the music was okay. I liked a lot of the music selection.
They should have cut half of it out and then double the length of all the songs. They should have picked the better half of the songs and then double the length. Just seriously, the 10 seconds like I'm walking through a building
to putting out the fire with gasoline of all songs. Like, come on! But this is the other big problem I had with the use of music. So, apart from the fact that it's like, okay, about half the songs are like, this is the 80s. The big problem I had is that more than a few times it went, okay, non-diegetic music. Oh, it's actually diegetic music, non-diegetic music. And I was like, no, you don't do that. That's not how movies are edited.
Do you think maybe Baby Driver kind of made us like a little bit of snobs when it came to this? Because like coming off that just a couple weeks ago, where you're like, everything is timed to the music. Now if things aren't timed to the music, I'm like,
not quite.
You could have done it better.
Not quite.
There were points in that movie where the music was used really well.
Yeah.
But the thing is like 50% of a good movie is still an F.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Like I think we're shitting on the movie. Like we're really like
I don't have any vitriol against it. I'm not pissed. I'm kind of glad it's done.
I didn't hate it, but like I was pretty stoked for it. Like, you know, like one of the things I thought I did really well though was like not going overboard with like. I feel like sometimes when you have like a female heroine, sometimes they go overboard with like this like girl power thing where like when they're fighting guys, like the thing is like okay, big John Hamm looking henchman, so much like stronger than her. Yeah. And they actually made a point to show that they didn't do any like weird kind of like. All of a sudden, she gets like super strength out of nowhere, and she's like hurling like a 260-pound dude across the room. She's like kicking him with stilettos and like fucking him in the knees and like. Yeah. It's very much like if I were like she fights exactly like I would imagine, like a top like female agent would fight a bunch of big ass fucking KGB guys.
I like the clever
She uses
ways.
Everything as like weapons.
Yeah, the clever ways that she used the fact that she is a woman, therefore she is expected to dress a different way. Oh, I'm gonna use my stiletto to kick your ass.
A lot of stiletto action.
That was actually pretty well done. And so, okay. What doesn't completely ruin this movie for me really come down to the performances. Charlize Theron did even when she wasn't fighting, I was still like, yeah, I'm invested, generally speaking, in what you're saying.
She kind of, she kind of does like the I'm a cold hard spy shtick throughout. It like never stopped.
Too hard, yeah.
Yeah.
But for what she was given, she did a good job with it.
Yeah.
Sofia Boutella, the French agent.
Mm-hmm.
They did a thing with her character when she was like, let's go somewhere more quiet. And before then, I'm like, oh, she's a really sexy, confident. I'm kind of a kick-ass punk rock agent. And then after that, it's like, oh, you're not.
Oh, yeah, you just kind of find out that
Yeah.
She's not.
Yeah, she's not all that.
Yeah, she's really not that. She's really not that cool.
But she was fine, and
I mean, yeah.
Toby Jones did a fine job. John Goodman did a fine job. Till Schweiger was in the movie very briefly, and I'm like, it's Till Schweiger, yay!
You know, you said you didn't like, I don't know. Did you like James McAvoy in that movie?
He was the standout performance for me.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I definitely thought James McAvoy was like the best part of that movie.
He was written as this dirt nasty, this is my town kind of guy.
Yeah.
And he went for it, and I loved it.
They're like, so we put an agent in Berlin. He kind of went native.
And when you see him, it's like, oh, yeah, this guy, okay, he's probably going to get going. No.
Yeah.
But whenever he was on screen, he was, I don't know, I was like, yeah, he's on screen.
The building blocks for such a great fucking movie were there. Like, and you're waiting. You're waiting for, like, it to all come together. And I kept thinking, I would want to say, like, probably the movie was almost like 2 hours long, an hour.
Yeah, I'd say hour 50 or something.
Yeah, it was about almost 2 hours. And I would say probably about every 20 minutes, after the first 20 minutes, I was like, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
There's always like one scene where you're like, all right, here we go.
And it was usually the music kicking up and
go like,
oh, the music
like,
stops.
She got a passport. Like,
yeah.
And then they're like, oh, here we go. She's just crossing the Berlin Wall again. For like, I swear to God, if I had $1 for every time they cross, anybody just like they're talking about how hard it is to like get across the wall. Motherfuckers are just going right. It's like half the movie is them traveling back and forth across the Berlin Wall.
It was what really got to me though is when I sat there, I was like, the pacing isn't right.
It's not.
The pacing isn't right for a big blockbuster beat 'em up action.
Yeah, I mean, $30 million budget, but yeah.
The pacing is correct, however, for a better than average direct-to-DVD action movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't
That's
say,
what it was.
I wouldn't say it was like that.
No, better than average. Like it was. It was like a really good Netflix effort.
Yeah. Okay, that like 10-minute fight scene, as much as we can shit on the movie, that fight scene was so good. It was like they just switched directors and editors. Like it was like they just took. Like
they brought the other John Wick guy in.
I'll say like John Wick. I think John Wick 2 had like better like long fight scenes.
Yeah.
It was like they just took a slice of John Wick. They're like, and 8 minutes just uncut of that. We're just gonna direct this scene for you guys. And then after they made this like fucking awesome scene, they're like, all right, here's your shitty movie back.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. It was just. It was a okay story told in kind of the worst way.
Yeah, I was so convinced that it was going to get cool after that scene. Yeah. And then after it did not skip a beat in slowing right the fuck back down again.
And the thing is, so because you are seeing all of this from the back end, you see her like one of the opening shots of the movie is the scene they show in a lot of the trailers where she's in a ice tub. Not an ice tub, a bathtub
really
full of ice water.
They make a point in that movie. She really likes ice and cigarettes.
And so she comes out of it, and she's super bruised. In the beginning of the movie, and then at the beginning of her mission, she's not super bruised. You're like, all right, so we're gonna see how she got all beat up.
I don't think you really.
And then that one scene is like, oh. All of her getting beat up is just this one thing.
I guess you do. You know, they make a point to show the like black eye that she has, and they point it out. I don't remember when she got the black eye, but
at some point when she got punched.
At some point when she was fighting Russian John Hamm.
Yeah.
I want to say,
I say skip it. If it comes out on DVD, or not if, when it comes out on DVD.
They're like, you know what, no.
Yeah, when it comes out on DVD, definitely check it out. Pick it up from Redbox for like $2. You'll have a great time. Just be prepared to sit with some beers and talk with friends during a lot
There's
of it.
Definitely points where I was like, man, I can just turn away from this. Try to hash out a couple points of the storyline with someone, turn back to the film, and not have like really missed anything.
Yeah, it was, as I say, it's a really great movie. If you rent it, you're you're not going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Don't go see it in cinemas. Like, as much as I want to support this director's work, and as much as I love Charlize Theron and James McAvoy and all those other people, I'm still like, at the end of the day, you still didn't put out a great movie.
If I could pay like a prorated amount just for that like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Where they're like, you know what, 80 cents, and you can just come into the theater and watch this fight scene, then it'll be totally worth it.
Yeah.
Like,
oh man, when they were gonna have the fight in the cinema, I was like, oh, and then it ends, and I'm like,
yeah,
oh.
You're like, oh.
Also, is Stalker the only Russian movie these people know? Anyway, that's the movie snob in me. That's not a legitimate criticism. It's something I found kind of funny. But yeah, don't see it in cinemas.
Ultimately, kind of a letdown.
Yeah,
I'll say all the best parts.
A lot of them are in the trailer.
90% of the best parts are in the trailer.
So next week we got Detroit
or
The Dark Tower.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So tune in for that.
Hopefully, maybe we'll get a reverse Atomic Blonde where we go in and we're like, man, this movie's gonna fucking suck.
Actually, I am looking forward to Detroit. I do like Catherine Bigelow's work.
Yeah, I'll just say right now, I'm just thinking about Dark Tower. I don't really have a vested interest in Detroit, but Dark Tower, I'm not super stoked for. Especially
it's only 98 minutes.
I know, especially after hearing the runtime, I was like, oh no.
Oh yeah. So if you tune in next week, you'll see what we thought of those movies.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching this. Really appreciate it. If you could like and subscribe like the video, subscribe to the channel, I'd really love that. And I love when you guys are like, hey, I disagree with you about X, Y, or Z. I love having those conversations with you. So comment below on what you thought of the movie if you happen to see it. So yeah, subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/glassfilmshouse, facebook.com/glasshousefilms, and Twitter @glasshousefilms. Thanks, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.